Hello, everybody. Friday is here, spring is here, but winter weather is blasting through the Great Lakes, heading toward the northeast United States, where we have winter storm warnings for snow and for ice across this region. There'll be snow and ice and wintry weather elsewhere as well, but this focus on this video will be particularly from the Great Lakes to the northeastern United States. We're going to look at that forecast, snow amounts, where the ice problems may be the best. We'll look at some cameras showing you the impacts of the storm right now. And we'll take a look at that radar and show you the other concerns that we have as we head in to the next 48 hours. Let's get started with a look at that forecast, and we're going to start with the European model as we go through, but let's go ahead and take a look also at a high resolution model. So let's do that right now. The higher resolution model here, I'll have to switch this over to another zone. They're watching details for what is going to be taking place in the north central United States with a blizzard as well. More on that video in a second. Here's the northeast, particularly from Michigan on the left side all the way out into the northeastern United States. Snow from an Alberta clipper is making its way through Wisconsin, Michigan now, and it will continue to trek eastward as we go through the next 24 hours. By the time we get to our evening tonight, it begins impacting upstate New York with some heavy snowfall potential and rain down to the south. And that boundary between the two weather-making temperatures, I should say, will give us an opportunity or a chance for the possibility for some freezing rain as well. So I'll go through and loop it through once so you can see the progression of the storm as it works its way through. And as we go ahead and, pulse back and forth, we can rock and show you that, the northernmost portions of Pennsylvania will see rain on this system. Warm enough there. There'll be some transition to ice. The wind will be increasing and out of the east, which means this is not a lake effect event in the onset. Now, it gets going this evening. Drive time, New York, from Syracuse all through Buffalo, and moving north and east as we traverse through the Friday night, Saturday morning time frame. The pink colors that you see here, I guess I call it purplish colors, that would indicate the areas where we'll have that potential for some icing taking place. The dark blue shows the heavier bands of snow drifting north and east through upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and eventually up into Maine. It begins in Maine as we go into Saturday morning. Now, the wind speeds with this system will be impressive, and we're talking about gusts over 35 miles per hour for some of us, so there could be some areas with white out conditions as this heavy snow makes its way through. Again, Friday night to Saturday morning is the main event. It continues throughout the day on Saturday in parts of New York, but it'll begin its exit from west to east, as you see here, and push into northern parts of Maine, as well as northern New Hampshire and Vermont on its way out. The impact in places like Boston and Rhode Island and the nation's capital will be some very heavy rain, and there could be a rumble of thunder with this convective snow as well. And I do believe there'll be a narrow band of heavy, heavy snow. Now let's take a look at that snow tracker. What's a snow tracker? Well, let's talk about snowfall potential with this system. Now, this is going to be one of those heavy, wet, back-breaking kind of snows as we head into the next 24 hours. Let's show you where the snowfall band looks to be setting up as of the latest model run. So we do have the chance in northernmost portions of New York. So basically from around Rochester, Buffalo, and once we get into New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, we could see some areas picking up over 1 foot of snow, and dare I say, we could see some areas with the potential for upwards of 18 inches of snow. Now, what about the ice potential with this system as it's working its way across? Yes, there is a chance for some ice, and here is a look at that freezing rain potential from Model 1. Now, this is just one model, and the exact location of that temperature band and the low pressure system will dictate this, but we do see that there will be a reasonable chance of 1/10 of an inch of ice or even more in a few areas. So please keep that in mind. Some could see 1/4 inch of ice, and most of the icing through the Saturday morning time frame. Notice the time on this. It's starting to ice up as we get into late Friday night, and by Saturday morning, we'll have some icy potential in central, even southern parts of New York, but not Long Island, not New York City. And that icing potential could really be enhanced in parts of Maine. That means this storm system not only will bring that risk for some inclement weather to our neighbors in the Northeast. Let's talk about the other impacts. Travel will certainly be one of them, but you're also going to have that risk of seeing some flight delays with the wind. And with the ice, we could also have power concerns. So we'll keep you on top of all of that, and that's what we can look for there. Now, let's take a look at what we have going on right now in the regards to this system as it's working its way through, Wisconsin. So southern Wisconsin seeing some intense conditions on their area roads. Here is a look at the road report, and I've darkened the map so we can take a better look at these colors. Where you see the blues and the pinks, that's snow-covered road in northern parts of Wisconsin, but in particular down near Milwaukee, we have some very nasty, saucy roads down there from the snow system. You're looking at the corridor there on the I-48 corridor, and this puppy is definitely flaking away as we make our way through and toward the midday hour. Now in Beloit, Wisconsin, the roads are mighty white as well. As you see, big flakes the size of Hutch Johnson's toenails working their way across southern Wisconsin. And this system is the one that's going to be heading in the general direction of the eastern Great Lakes as we go through the day now. Thank you so much. Thatch says, shout out from Wisconsin. I appreciate all of you who are watching, throwing me a note, letting me know where you're watching from. That really does help me, and it really helps to have the likes and the subscriptions as well. And check it out. We have a winter storm warning for you folks in Beloit, Wisconsin, in that general area as this system is beginning its exit from those areas. It's sliding through parts of the mitten of Michigan, all the way from Milwaukee across the Big Lake, and, well, much of central and southern Michigan seeing the impact as this. The upstate part by the top of the mittens, not so much. And the UP, not happening there as we review the radar and what's going on. We'll look more at the warnings here in just a second. Check out the radar now taking place near Rochester and Buffalo. We are seeing some dark blue bands near Niagara Falls. We're also seeing that in the Buffalo area spreading across towards Rochester, Syracuse. No warnings in these areas here. These purple counties are winter weather advisories. The warnings are for areas north of Syracuse and Oswego, as well as Watertown, Montpelier, and all the way up to Maine, where we do have in yellow, by the way, winter storm. Watches. So watches, warnings, and the concern is for ice, as we showed you, in the Northeast, snow, as we showed you, in the Northeast, and that snow could be quite heavy as well. Wind and power outages as well. And the system is beginning to make its exit out of places like Wisconsin. So now let's take a look at the National Weather Service warnings, and let's start with where the snow is happening right now. Rockford, Illinois, out towards that Beloit, Wisconsin area. Here's what your National Weather Service office is saying. We see the heaviest band of snow, by the way, just exiting this area right now towards Harvard and McHenry and Burlington. You're going to see these amounts increase as it's exiting Freeport, and it's beginning its exit in the Rockford, Illinois area. So as we take a look, the warning is only in effect until 4 o'clock this afternoon. National Weather Service expecting additional accumulation in some spots of around, well, let's see, it looks like 6 inches total accumulation, and that's causing some travel on roads there to be quite difficult. So drive with care. We showed you the road conditions there. Lynn, thanks for joining. Thank you for watching. Northern Wisconsin saw some of the white stuff, but it appears to be melting away. Good to hear. And I'll tell you what, we have had very little snow here in the Northern Plains where I'm from. My stomping grounds is the Dakotas in western Minnesota, not far from you in Wisconsin. I'm a Northern Plains meteorologist with 30 years of experience on the air, teaching meteorology at the college level in classrooms, as well as doing some research meteorology as well. I appreciate you joining today. And I'd like to know from you in Wisconsin, has your winter been as snow-free as ours? We've only had 1 foot of snow in the Fargo area throughout the winter. I think 13 inches is what it's up to today, with an inch from this clipper. The same system moving through Lansing and Detroit right now, working its way off to the east. If you are in Lansing, here's a look. There's a heavier band right over Charlotte. You see the dark blues there? That puppy is really dumping flakes around the size of my thumb. And let's take a look at what we're having here with regards to what the Weather Service says the forecast is for your area. I-96 corridor. This will last basically until we get into the nighttime hours tonight. And we're talking about 1 to 3 inches of snowfall, typically advisories. And this is a winter weather advisory are issued for systems where life-threatening conditions aren't anticipated, but there could be some tricky travel, right? This does extend into the northern metro area of Detroit as we look in on Warren, Sterling Heights, the Harrison Township, as we look up north where the darker blues are. That's where we're seeing that snow. This system, that's the one that's on its way towards Syracuse. Now, let's take a look at the forecast from the National Weather Service in Buffalo. We're seeing a pretty heavy band right now over the Buffalo area. This winter weather advisory in Buffalo is in effect for now, and it lasts until Saturday morning at 8 a.m. And we're talking about 1/10 of an inch of ice and 1 to 3 inches of snow. But it looks like to Hutch here, as I'm examining this radar, that the snowfall band that you're seeing near Niagara right now could produce the 1 to 3 inches, and there's more on the way. So keep that in mind. The forecast, it definitely can be adjusted. So pay attention to your local National Weather Service office. Thatch says half of the Nordic ski racing season was canceled in Wisconsin. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And we had no sled dogs in and around parts of Minnesota thanks to the lack of snow as the drought is expanding in our area. Thank you, Thatch, for your update and your one-on-one. That's what makes Hutch's Weather fun. It's interactive. And also, well, it's a meteorologist expert opinion. Now let's focus on what's going on up in northern New York, north of Syracuse, where the warnings are. Let's go to the Watertown area. Now, the warning is set to be in effect as we go through Saturday in the afternoon. So see that? It's all the way from this afternoon to Saturday afternoon. So a 24-hour event here. And the ice accumulation is expected to be just a little bit, but the snow accumulation of 5 to 9 inches, along with some gusty winds, will make for some travel trouble. Keep that in mind. Those are the impacts in and around the area of western and northern New York. And as we take a look up into Burlington, Vermont, let's go up there. Now, we're expecting this winter storm warning from 8 o'clock this evening to go until Sunday morning at 2 a.m. Now, the travel impacts are going to be there. There's going to be the heavy weight of this wet snow, and it could be over a layer of ice. So keep that in mind. Total snow accumulations, 8 to 17 inches. Okay, so this is a big winter area as we look through, and the model was showing some spots that could get some very healthy amounts. Bangor, Maine, as we look up in your area, Bangor can expect the 8 p.m. Sunday expiration of this system. So basically from the wee hours of the morning Saturday, all day Saturday into Sunday morning, that's a prolonged event, right? Wind gusts 40 miles per hour. That means terrible travel conditions, difficult if not impossible in places, reduced visibility. Watch out for tree damage. That could also take down power lines. So there'll be that power risk in the northeastern United States. So we've covered that. Now, the rest of the country is not without inclement weather at all. Hi, Lynn. Good to have you on board. Our winter here in northern Wisconsin has been very mild, only received 6 inches all year. Oh my goodness, what happened? It was a serious storm track change, and our La Nina El Nino cycle that takes place in the Pacific Ocean had a lot to do with some changes. We had storm after storm whacking the west, and speaking of whacking the west, let's take a look at this. I want to let you know that the Sierra Nevada is expecting another winter storm. I'll put a link in here in the comments if I can right now where you can find that video so that you can take a peek at that. So it's going in right now in the live chat. Boom. Forgive me for concentrating. It's hard to talk and think and click and do all that at once. But Sierra Nevada, I've got an update for you. We're expecting feet of snow, 3 feet of snow again in that Truckee Pass on I-80. Keep that in mind. I've got a video up here for that. Now, also, thank you very much for your comments and concerns and likes and ideas as well. Here, check this out. There is going to be some windy weather in the south. A wet day in the southeastern United States is anticipated. Let me go right to the radar here as we take a look. And now, as we pop up into the northern plains, this is a potential blizzard in the making as we go from Saturday out in eastern Montana and western parts of the Dakotas all the way through Tuesday, folks. So count the days: Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That is a 3.5-day event that's going to take place as a Colorado low is developing as we speak. It's still moving off of the west coast, but the anticipation is heavy wind, gusts over 40 miles per hour, snow over 18 inches will be likely in a narrow band band the way it looks, and that's a winter wallop. You can check the same video for an update on that, and I will have more updates since this is Hutch's home village right here in that Fargo area toward Minneapolis, where they are expecting some ridiculous snow across Minnesota, wind, and there will be potential power outages. So check out the videos on that. Those are the areas that will be impacted over the upcoming weekend into early next week. And by the way, that video, if you're concerned in the central and southern plains, will bring a chance also of some severe weather to the central and southern plains as this big time storm system rolls out of the Rocky Mountains and into the northern plains. Again, I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. It's been a pleasure visiting with you, Lynn, Thatch, as well as the rest of you for joining. Thanks for the likes. I appreciate the subscriptions. Pass along the good word. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson here. Stay safe. Get those shovels ready, gas up the snowblowers, and be ready for big-time weather in not just one area of the country, but several. In the western mountains of the Rockies, the Sierra Nevada, also through the northern plains, and of course the Great Lakes and East Coast. Expecting some snow now into the early half of the weekend. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your Friday, and check back here